This Bellator 192 interview with Michael Chandler was recorded on January 11th, 2018.
Steve Jewin, MMA Mania.
All right, Steve, whenever you're ready, you're on.
All right, Iron Michael Chandler, always a pleasure to talk to you. How are you feeling today, sir?
I'm great.
I love the fact that you're fighting here at this big card on Bellator 192, January 20th, but I hate to do it and rewind to the past, but we have to talk about Bellator NYC first, because you were all heart and fire and guts in that fight. You wanted to keep fighting, but that leg wouldn't let you. So how's the leg doing? How's the ankle doing? How are you feeling now?
Man, I'm great. I'm the best I've ever been. You know, it was a little bit of a setback, a little bit of a freak accident, a little bit of man stepping in to, something that could have been a great night. You know, 2 doctors and a ref made the wrong call that night. They were telling me it was broken. I was telling them that it was not broken. I was telling them, let me fight, and I will go knock this guy out on one leg, and knocked him down on one leg, and would have finished the job had they not stepped into the cage. If it was a fight to the death, Michael Chandler wins that fight 10 times out of 10. But I'm back. I'm back and better than ever. A little bit of rehab. I got some great doctors on my team at Sanford Medical, orthopedic surgeon and neurologist, neurosurgeon. So man, I've recovered, I've recouped, I've rebuilt, and I've revamped, and I have recalibrated, and I'm better than I was before that fight. So I'm excited to go out there January 20th and smash somebody.
All right, well, you said you didn't need surgery that night. You could go on, but you just mentioned an orthopedic surgeon, so I have to ask, was there some surgery involved?
Nope. There wasn't. It was literally just nerve damage. And the sad thing was I was riding in an ambulance because they made me take an ambulance. They tried to take me out on a stretcher. I said, heck no, I don't care if it's broken, I'm walking out. So I walked out on my 2 capable legs, and then they pulled the ambulance up, and I said, no, I'm not getting into that thing. And they said, yes, you are. Almost got into fist fights back there with the doctors and the commissioners. And I figured 2 fist fights in one night wouldn't have been a good idea. So I was like, fine, I'm getting in this stupid ambulance. Got in the ambulance, and yeah, my Dr. Reeves, my orthopedic surgeon from Sanford, was, kind of prodding and touching and poking, and he's like, hey, Michael, you just got a little bit of nerve damage, a little bit of stinger, and your leg will be fine in a week. And I looked at him and said, are you kidding me? So on the one hand, I was very, very upset that they didn't let me continue, and I told the doctors, it better be broken or I'm coming for you, but then on the other hand, I realized that, I was very happy the next morning when I woke up and I didn't have a broken leg or a broken ankle or any of that stuff. So.
Right. Silver lining, I suppose. But given how fired up you are about the whole thing and how fired up you were at Madison Square Garden, it seems like going after Premise would be the natural thing to do. Instead, you've got Goiti Yamauchi here at Bellator 192. So take us through that decision process to take on Yamauchi now and maybe Premise later.
It really wasn't my decision, man. I waited. I mean, if you follow me on social media, I was using the hashtag book the rematch. I was saying book the rematch. I was ready to book a rematch.
Oh, yeah.
And then, the man you mentioned was on maternity leave or whatever he was doing. He had a baby, or I don't know. I guess he had to take care of, things at home or whatever he was doing. I mean, track record speaks for itself. He's only fought 8 times in 8 years, so he doesn't really fight much. He's a part-time fighter. He's a glorified part-time fighter. I don't know how he makes a living. I don't know if he does jiu-jitsu classes or what he does. But I wanted to smash him, and then I realized he wasn't going to take the fight, so I took the only man that stepped up and wanted to fight, a more dangerous opponent, a more experienced opponent, a tougher test, because that's what I'm in this sport to do. I'm not here to tiptoe around and call this a fun career. I'm here to challenge myself. I'm here to step into the cage with the best guys I possibly can and real competitors. The man you mentioned earlier is, to me, not a real competitor. He got extremely lucky on one night, and that's where I'm at. And I'm 8-9 days away from fighting another man, and I could care less if I ever fight that man again. I want big fights. I want to fight the 170. I'd like to fight Patricio Pitbull. I'd like to fight a bunch of bigger names, huge names compared to the aforementioned champion.
Well, Michael, I think your extrasensory perception is on full blast right now, because I take notes before every interview, and I actually wrote a more dangerous opponent in my notes for Goiti Yamauchi. So you took the words literally right off my page.
Yeah, man, I'm on point, man. When I'm on point, you can't be stopped. So you catch me this close to a fight, man, I'm on point.
You are indeed.
So,
and with saying that he's more dangerous, we should elucidate for the people listening and reading this. He's won 82% of his fights by submission. This is not a guy you really want to tangle on the ground with.
yeah, but he's never stepped into the cage with anybody even close to Michael Chandler. You
True.
know, of my abilities. I mean, I'm not going to be dumb and say, put myself in precarious situations just to prove a point. I'm more of a veteran and smarter than that. But I have 70 something, 80 something % finishing rate as well. I mean, I got seven knockouts and 8 submissions or whatever I have. I mean, the majority of my fights are finished within the first 2 rounds by knockout or submission. The amount of power that I bring to the cage. The last time he fought a wrestler, he got beat in Bubba Jenkins. Bubba Jenkins is a small human being compared to me. Bubba Jenkins doesn't have half the power, half the smothering ability, and half the pressure that I bring to the cage, plus half of the MMA athleticism. So the proof is in the pudding. He's never fought a man like me. I respect the heck out of him, man. He's 24 years old with 20-something fights. That's a lot of fights. And he's a very active guy. Therefore, it shows you that he takes this sport seriously. He wants this to be his career. He wants to be a full-time fighter, and he wants to be a champion. In this organization, in the lightweight division, if you want to be a champion, there's one guy that you got to beat, and that's me. I don't care who the champion is. I don't care who has the belt. The belt is an ornament at this point. I'm the face of this lightweight division. I'm the face of Bellator. And Goiti Yamauchi has a phenomenal opportunity on January 20th, and I can't wait to go smash him and then see what's next for me.
Well, I can't argue with a man who's been the champion multiple times when he says the title is just an ornament, because you're a star with or without that belt. But at the same time, if Primus isn't coming back to defend it, should this be for a vacant title between you and Yamauchi, or even somebody else?
I'm not here to do Bellator's job for them, man. They're very good at what they do. Scott Coker, Rich Chu, I mean, they know the fight business, man. And I've always admired them. I've always looked up to them as promoters and as men. We have a great relationship. They know I want big fights. They know I wanted the rematch. The rematch didn't happen. Certain people are, whatever, are scared or on maternity leave or just don't quite feel right to fight more than once every 11 months, which is weird to me. Cause I don't know how you feed your family fighting once a year, but, I'm just excited, man. I'm excited to go out there and compete. I'm excited for big fights. I'm excited to smash this guy January 20th. He's a phenomenal competitor. I admire him for his work thus far, and I'm excited to compete against him.
Well, speaking of Rich and Scott knowing what they're doing, this same card that you're on here at the Forum in Inglewood also has the opening round of the Heavyweight Grand Prix. So let's weigh that possibility for a second. What if they did a lightweight Grand Prix? Would you want to run the table on that and smash everybody on the way back?
Not really, man. That doesn't excite me. Who am I going to fight? Patricky Pitbull again and fight freaking, no-name Joe Schmo again? No. There's not eight guys in there that deserve to step. There's seven other guys in the Bellator division that deserve to step into the cage with me. I would go up to 170 and fight a 178-man Grand Prix. Now that's a challenge, but man, these guys are just not on my level. And I only say that because I've earned it and I've lived this for the last 8 years. This isn't a hobby for me. This is something way bigger than myself. And I'm tired of acting like, I'm just another fighter. I'm different. I'm set apart and I'm better. And that's really where it is and where my mindset is. And January 20th, I'm excited to go out there and compete. Yamauchi is a tough competitor, and I'm going to get past that, and then we'll see what Coker and the crew have going set up for me after that.
I know everybody listening is excited for January 20th as well. They're excited for your fight. They're excited for these other fights on the card. And since you mentioned the welterweights and going up to 170, that main event is a dream fight. Douglas Lima and Rory McDonald. What do you think about the two of them mixing it up here in the Inglewood?
Man, it's going to be a good fight, man. Two big, long, established welterweights, very both very skilled. I got Douglas Lima by decision. I think he's bigger, faster, stronger. I think Rory's not the same Rory ever since my man Robbie Lawler broke his face in half. And I got Lima not by finish, but by decision. You know, if Lima can really keep his foot on the gas into those championship rounds, I think he outlasts and outworks Rory. I don't see the same Rory that I used to. I think he's a little bit timid, a little bit scared. So Douglas Lima by decision, unanimous.
You know, you're not the only
great
person.
fight nonetheless.
You're not the only person to say that, though, because on the conference call yesterday, Chael Sonnen said, it's about time Douglas Lima gets his respect, and if he wins, can we finally acknowledge that he's the best welterweight in the world?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about best welterweight in the world. I think my boy Tyron Woodley would smack him around. But I think Douglas Lima is way better than people give him credit for. Let's be honest, man. You know, some of us in Bellator are way better than people give us credit for. And there's a little bit of a chip on some of our shoulders. So that's why we go out there, and that's why we fight so hard. That's why you see heartfelt fights and heartfelt battles in Bellator, you know. And you see it in all the organizations, but there's something different about Bellator, something different about being on this side, and I've shown it each and every time I step into the cage, and I'm just glad that God blessed me with the ability to be steadfast and movable and the most exciting fighter you've ever seen step into the cage.
I will mention that Woodley's name also came up on the conference call yesterday, and they were trying to put Rory over by saying, hey, look, Rory's beating the guy who's the champ in another organization. So people were trying to give him that edge and say Douglas Lima was the underdog because of that.
I mean, I think Douglas is the better fighter. However, there's a lot of times where the better fighter ends up being the underdog. So I think Rory should be the favorite because of the media, just because of the name, just because of the platform, just because of his success in the UFC, his win over Tyron, his win over a couple great big names over there. So I think Lima should be the underdog. However, educated people in the sport would say this is a heck of a fight, and in my opinion, one that Lima has the edge in.
Well, back to your fight with Yamauchi. I know you said you're not afraid of anything he brings, and you've been fighting the good fights and knocking people out and submitting people to prove that you belong in this place, but did you add anything to your training camp extra, just knowing what kind of submissions he brings?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked every day on submission defense and cage control, cage defense, as well as, you know, fighting a guy who throws a variety of strikes. You know, he's a puzzle like every fighter, you know, and I'm very great at solving guys' puzzles or just disregarding that the man is a puzzle and just running right through him. You know, that's what I got. That's what I've done in a lot of my fights, and I'm overwhelming when I step into the cage. I'm composed when I step into the cage, and let it be noted that, you know, we talked about me being the champion for so long. I mean, this will be my 21st fight, and I think only my 5th or 6th time that I've trained or stepped into the cage to fight a 15-minute fight. You know, I've been training for 25-minute fights 80% of my career. So 15 minutes is going to be a drop in the bucket. 15 minutes is like a jog in the park for me. So I'm excited to go out there, start fast, start hard, start explosive, and start violent. And let's see if he can hang. Let's see. I hope he can hang longer than I think he can. I hope he brings more to the fight and more of a fighter spirit than I think he can. I hope he does, because I relish and I welcome that challenge. But I just think I'm on a different level, and I'm excited to go out there and prove that, and I'm excited to thwart every single thing he throws at me.
I'm glad you mentioned the thing about 5-round fights, too, because you and I talked about that in a previous interview, how every fight you had was either for the title or defending the title. So cardio is absolutely not a question in your case. Yep,
it always has been, and cardio is 90% heart anyway. We're dealing with a lot of heartless people in this sport, and people who don't have the heart to be disciplined enough to train hard, do things right, and eat right, and heartless when it comes into a real fight, a real battle. And the sooner that fighters can realize that the ones that really do put in the work deserve to be the best, and the ones that really do believe that they have a calling on their life deserve to be at the top, the better off this sport is going to be, and it's going to continue to grow and continue to sharpen each and every individual. So cardio is never a problem because I got a heart and a motor, and I'm not afraid to go out there and lay it all on the line. If I got to die in that cage, I got to die in that cage. I've passed out in the cage before. I've been almost unconscious before and fought back and finished fights. So I have that ability. And I can always rely on that.
Well, that's one reason fans love you and fight reporters like to watch you, is because we know Iron Michael Chandler is all heart in that Bellator cage. But with that said, as we start to wrap this up, it seems to me there's been a narrative all along in this interview that you don't think Brett Primus has the heart.
I'm not going to judge a man's heart, you know. I mean, all I'm saying is I took a fight. I was ready to fight. I've been ready to fight since 9 days after my last fight. I called Mauro Ranallo out a couple months ago when he was talking about the lightweight division and they're waiting for me to heal up. I was already healed. I've been healed since freaking July. I've been ready to fight since July of last year. Now here we are in January. You know, these promoters and these promotions can build a narrative and tell people what they want to hear. And who knows, they were probably telling him what he wanted to hear or telling him some false information, and they were telling me some certain other information, whether it was true or whether it was false. I'm not saying people are lying or people are fibbing or people are making up stuff or people are guiding conversations, but I am saying I'm true to myself. Everybody who knows me, every reporter, every media outlet, every fan, everyone in my inner circle, every acquaintance of mine can never question my heart, could never question my ability and fitness to be able ready to fight and take each and every challenge when it's presented to me. So it's going to be a cold day in hell before I ever turn down a fight. And that's going to be me till the day I hang up my gloves.
Right on. Well, we hope that day isn't coming anytime soon, because to me, there's nothing better than watching you go and do work in the Bellator cage. So I want to give you this time, plug anything you like, and say thank you for the interview as always, but go ahead and get those sponsors out.
Yeah, thank you for the time. I appreciate it. Everybody tune in on the Paramount Network and CMT. Big shout out to my sponsors, American Ethanol, Monster Energy, Toyota Escondido, Dymatize, Pure and Clean Sports, Dynamax Medicine Balls, and Mega Fit Meals. So thank you for the time, and I appreciate it.
Everybody be sure to watch Bellator 192 January 20th to see Michael Chandler and Goiti Yamauchi tear it up in an explosive lightweight fight on a card also featuring Rory McDonald and Douglas Lima in the main event. Michael, thank you again.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. Dan, thank you as well.
Not a problem, Steve. Thanks.
You bet.